What's up, everybody? It's Jason, Zombie Collector. For those that are uninitiated, thought I'd do a little chit chat, a little sorting, a little chit chat, a little sorting, a little spending some time with my biggest fans out there. So I appreciate everybody who may or may not even show up on this live stream. I don't even know if I'm going to keep it up there. I might take it down. Just depends. But I got some stuff I need to get done sorting. So I thought, hey, I'll go live, and if people want to talk, great. If nobody wants to talk, that's fine too. I won't hold it against you. Going through my Johnny Schmaltz. Okay. Okay, so I didn't need any of those. I got Bo Jackson. Nope, no Bo Jacksons. Bo knows. We got a Frankie T, some Frank Thomas action. I don't think I have any Frank Thomas cards. No Frankie Thomas. Let's see, let me make a powerful Otani. So I got a whole bunch of Otanis I've picked up recently. We got a bunch of Donnie baseballs. Got old baseballs. Gotta get those. We got Donnie baseball there. We got some Wade Boggs. Scott Rowland. Rolling on the river. Rolling on the river. Okay, let's see here. Oh, we got Frankie T. I did have a Frank Thomas. Nice. I got a bunch of Otanis right here. All right. What a great Maddox. Mattingly. A whole bunch of Walt Terrell cards. Reese Hoskins, Nolan Ryan, Christian Yelich, more Donnie baseball. Okay, so I only have one Frank Thomas. This will be easy. Got the one Frank Thomas. I'm going to see. This was given to me by none other than Joey H44, aka Don't Call My Wax. You know what it is? Junk. That's right. Don't call his wax junk. You gonna get all butthurt and throw a hissy fit and come to your house and slap you in the face with a 1991 Fleer 91, not Ric Flair, but Ric Fleer. So I'm looking for this card. We'll see if I can find it. Take it out of the plastic. Oh, somebody decided to pop off for a second. They'll probably pop off just as fast. Does the body good. All right, let's look. I'm looking to put this in my binder. This is my new card I received recently from Joey. Don't Call My Wax Junk in my trunk. So I'm gonna look and see if I can find this. If I already have this card or not, I don't believe so. I don't think I've ever seen this card. So more than likely, it will find a home where the buffalo roam. No, find a home in my binder. I got a lot of Frankie T cards, so I got to really pay attention and not be distracted. Well, look at you, Hobby Terror. What up, brother? Yo and hello. I never heard that before. First time I've ever heard it. Oh, you know what? It looks like I do have it, but this is an upgrade from the previous one I had. So I am upgrading this because the one has a soft corner, and the one that Joey sent me does not. It looks like sweet sassafras. Nice. Gotta. All right. Let's see here. That looks. Yeah, this one's a little bit better, a little less off center. Uh-oh. Sounds like something's getting serious over there with my son playing those video games. You know, when you hear the term "stop being a baby," things just got legit. Things just escalated a bit, just a smidge. What you up to, brother? What do you got going on this fine Saturday afternoon? All right, got the Frankie T. You ever notice, like in the '90s, that the tops are like a lot of weird. I got I got a phone call from a 765 number. I don't recognize the number though, so I'm gonna pass. So sorry. I'm gonna wait till the hardly ever call. Um, have you ever noticed, like in the 1990s, when it comes to a lot of the baseball players, and this I don't remember this in any other. Uh, oh, are you? My son's playing. Yeah, my son's playing Call of Duty. Yes, he is. He is a Call of Duty fan. But I don't know if any other genre. I don't remember any other decades or years was as popular. But I noticed in the '90s there were a lot of baseball cards made with baseball players without their shirts on. You ever think about that? I didn't think about it until more recently. Um, but if you go back and think about it, there's a lot of baseball cards where the guys are taking off their shirts and they're running around no shirts on. Like Kirby Puckett has a Dream Teams card where he's shirtless. Then you have Frank Thomas. I got a bunch of his cards where he's sitting there with his shirt off, hanging off of him. Ron Gant, there you go. Who else is out there? Who does? Ricky Henderson has one where he's like in his underwear, stretching out. Jose Canseco has one where he has no shirt on. So it's like it's weird. Like for whatever reason, like in the early '90s, there were a lot of cards being made where the ball players didn't have their shirts on and they're like posing on there. It's just kind of like this strange phenomenon. I never even thought about it, but it's true. There wasn't anything really before that. There wasn't a lot of anything, I don't think, to my knowledge, anything after that. But from like 90 to 92 or 3, there was a handful of cards made that they were shirtless. I'm sure there might even be more that I'm unaware of, but it is kind of crazy if you think about it. You're like, why are these baseball players taking pictures of them basically in their underwears for a baseball card? I'm like, okay. Well, yeah, but you expect that when it comes to wrestling and UFC. What's up, Victor? What's up, Matt? People getting their feelings hurt. I don't. I don't know. It wasn't. I don't. I'm not. I'm not. What had that to do with me to get my feelings hurt? It just feels strange that they're producing baseball cards that are supposed to be for kids, where the guys are shirtless, like flexing or swinging or whatever. You're just kind of like, that's weird. Like I don't know. I'm like, now that I think about it, it seems a little bit off. I'm like, what? Really? Again, with wrestling, it makes sense because they go to the ring with just like their trunks, or they might have something they wear, but then they take it off when they get into the ring. Because wrestling, a lot of times they're coming out with it without hardly any clothes on, but with baseball players, I mean, I'm kind of like, that's not something that you've seen in the past or currently. But there was like a snapshot in time where they thought, you know, what's a good idea is to show little 8-year-olds and 12-year-old boys these shirtless men. It just seems a little bit odd. So I don't know. 1990s the body issue. But yeah, I just started thinking about that, and I'm like, that is kind of weird, but it is what it is, I guess. You know, whatevs, whatever. So yeah, deep thoughts over here. Yeah, I'm kind of glad they didn't do any shirtless pics for all of us or shirtless ball cards. The world's probably a better place. That's including for myself. You don't think about that when you're a kid, I don't think. But as an adult, I go back and think, I'm like, that is kind of weird how that was like a thing for like a short time, but it was. Yeah, Cecil Fielder, he should have been. You're right. Oh man. But yeah, that's pretty funny. That's good stuff. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, so that was my deep thoughts for the moment. Hey, oh, Nate is here. The man, the myth, the legend. What is up, dude? Top 75 401. Yeah. Everybody has to do that when you see Nate pop up, dude. I feel like it's just something you do. It's just something that one does. It's like you have to do it. There's a handful of channels that have a very unique introduction, and definitely Nate's one of them, for sure. Oh man, oh man. So just trying to get through. I'm trying to go through and sort some cards, put them in my binders. I started getting like a few. I started getting an uptick. Had an uptick in care packages, which is never a bad thing, I should say, up front. As that goes to the generosity of our community. But I hadn't, had a care package in a half a year, longer than a half a year. I don't know, long time. And then in the last like a week and a half, I received one from Matt, Mike Hitman 23. I received one from Henry, and I received one from Joey. Don't call my wax junk. And all of a sudden, I had like a pack stacks piling up. I'm not including what I've bought for myself. I had a card shows and a card shops over the last month or so. So I had all these stacks building up, and I'm like, man, I cannot get this. This cannot get out of hand. So I started like, sorting them out. So we'll see. We'll try to get it. We'll try to get some control over it. We'll see what happens. Could I have Thanksgiving, as we all have Thanksgiving coming up? If you're here in America, I should say, because my channel goes worldwide, kind of like Pitbull, and but I'll have a lot of downtime, so that way I can get this stuff done now, and then kind of like go through my collection, and like I said, maybe pick and choose some stuff that I want to move on and keep around. Yeah, man, it gets crazy, dude. I mean, like supplies are costing a lot more money. It's crazy right now. I mean, this is crazy to be a collector, and trying to afford to buy just the simple things in life, just the simple pleasures in life. It gets expensive now because of the way the hobby is. I mean, I could talk about that all day long, but nobody wants to hear that. So it's my antidepressant, right? It is, man. It's really, there's very few things that I can think of as almost 42-year-old Jason that brings me as much joy and just relaxation as just laying out my cards, putting them in the player stacks that I collect, and just going through my binders and putting them away. It's a very satisfying feeling. I'm sure all of us who do that. I mean, not everybody collects that way, maybe. It's very fun, and it's very this calm, and this is a really good feeling to have. And so yeah, I enjoy it. So I do agree. Because the world we live in right now is crazy. It's been crazy for a while. Just to kind of, and as anybody who follows me on my Facebook page, like I sometimes contribute to the craziness. So I'm not trying to push it off on other people. I'm just as much sometimes involved in stirring the pot. But even I, with my ridiculousness nature of how I approach life and stuff, can be like one of this tap out. Like we're talking about the AEW, WWF type stuff, where you just want to tap out of life. You're like, man, I just need to get a break and get away from all this craziness. So I go to my refuge, which is my ball cards, which is another reason why I kind of got back in the community, because I missed a lot of you guys and just the camaraderie and hanging out, and talking shop, and just Nate's a Barry Bonds collector, and I'm not a Barry Bonds collector, but I can appreciate Nate collecting. I can enjoy what he does, so it's just fun, and it's gets your mind off of other stuff, and I can do that for many people's channels, and I hope when people come to my channel, they feel the same way. They're like, I'm not really a big fan of Jason's random Japanese ball player from like 2004. Doesn't do much for me, but I enjoy his channel. I enjoy what he has to say. I enjoy his random ridiculousness. So it helps. So, it helps all of us, I think. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, Nate. I mean, that's true. I mean, honestly, I bought some cards like I can show you just recently. I picked up a handful of Here, let me just show you. That's a great point. I want to do. I'm going to show you all something here. So I'll just show you this little mini stack. These are all cards I bought myself. And when I went to a card shop a couple weeks ago, or a card show too, I was like, I just want to buy some cards just to have something to sort, So I picked up these cards. I maybe show these on a random video a couple months ago or whatever. But I picked up this Hideki Matsui insert card, Authentic Power. I just picked this up, no reason. I just wanted it for my collection. I got it for 50 cents or a quarter. Then I got this. Actually, this is a rookie card, I believe, of Matsui, and it's Spanish. I didn't realize that when I picked it up, but it's 2002 Donruss Australius Novato. Sorry, I'm as probably most of you all can tell with my terrible pronunciation of Spanish. I'm not really good at it, but it says right here it's all in Spanish, and it's in the metric system. So I picked that up for $1, I think, and then this was a really cool card I had never seen before. This is a Hideo Nomo historical record, but it has some kind of Fleer America's National Pastime stamp on it. As I try to get it without the glare. As you all know, the old glare monkey gets you every time. So you have this, and this is actually numbered out of 1994, which I would assume is the year it was created. And I could be wrong about that. So I found this for like 50 cents. And then I found this cool, like 1987 maybe. Yeah, 1987 Fleer Wade Boggs. I didn't have this one. This was kind of cool. It's a cool image of Wade Boggs from a Fleer subset. I guess it's called Fleer Headliner, I think. And I've never even seen this card before. I'm sure this card's like a quarter card, but I'm a Wade Boggs collector. It's like in mint shape from 87. Great looking card. It's very 80s looking. I liked it. And then I picked up two insert of Scott Rowland. Here we got Soul of the Game. Not to be confused with the HBO Negro Leagues film, Soul of the Game, of Scott Rowland, Indiana's own, one of the Hoosiers' finest. And then this last insert, which was cool because it has a lot going on. It's another insert card. It's D5. So I guess that's Black Diamond maybe. And then I have this right here. This is a lot happened on this card. So I got this for a quarter. The one good thing about the car shop I go to in beautiful, picturesque Greenfield, Indiana, 4 Sharp Corners, is that he just has, for baseball cards, he has like between 8 and 10 monster boxes. It's filled to the brim of just quarter cards. And he always brings a new product. Either he has it in one of his overflow places he keeps. What do you call those places? I can't think of storage units, overflow storage units. Hey, what's up, Jesse? Or he has his people bring in their collections, and he gives them hardly nothing. He'll give them like $5 a box because he ain't going through it. He's at the point of his career as a shop owner. He's like, unless you have some serious fire that you show me out of that box, or I can see just barely thumbing through it, it's like $5 a box. That's what I'm paying you for. So, and then he just takes all those cards, throws them in his quarter boxes. So it's always changing. And I'm sure a lot of us have that same experience. But it's great because if you don't go for a week or two and you go back, it's not like you're thumbing through the same cards every time. You're like, man, I've seen this card 20 times now. It's like always something different. So I like that. So yeah, I mean that's the way. Yeah, just buy cards for the heck of it. I don't blame you, dude. My favorite is picking up 70s and 80s minor league. Yeah, sometimes those nobody cards are fun to look at. The live feed, I don't know. I'm hoping it's not. I hope it's not on my end, dude. I hope I'm not. I hope it's not. You're behind on my end. It seems to be working okay for me, but I don't know. This is like my 3rd time going live, so it's the wheels at any moment could just fall off. My local car shop right now is yeah, the box department. Yeah, the value box. I mean, like I said, like his name's Tracy. Tracy does a good job of keeping it, relatively stocked. And you always find stuff that you miss. So even if he doesn't update it frequently, which again for me is pretty rare. There's always stuff that you miss out on. So for sure. Hey, what up, Ray? What up, Henry? Nate? We talk about Jesse's in here. I don't remember Terror Cards and Terror. I'm not for sure what his first name is. I apologize. I don't know if you've told me before. That's weird that there's a delay. I apologize. I'm sure it's something on my end. I don't know what or why, but I'm sure it's something to do with this guy right here. But yeah. So make sure you guys, if you have not done so already, go check out Bowman53 Alex's channel. He has I'm not really one to do too many what do you call them, response videos or just because videos that people sometimes do, or like whatever. But he has a really cool one that he's doing where what cards remind you of certain people in our community. It's kind of like a glorified shout out video. And it might not even be a card. It could be a poster. It could be a magazine. It could be a baseball. It could be anything. Bat. It could be anything that reminds you of a certain person in our community. And it could be multiple items, or maybe something you got in a care package from somebody. And then just like do a video, like a response video to his, and then he's gonna do like a winner, like a giveaway, and I think he's gonna try to do a care package that's kind of like directed towards you and your collecting style, your team, or your player. And I can tell you, if you've not had a care package from Alex Bowman 53, he really goes all out on the care package world. I mean, he really hits you those sweet spots with a care package. I've received multiple care packages from Alex over the years. I mean, so I've never even asked for. Like, I'll just receive a care package in the mail and it says Alex Bowman 53 on the care package. I'm like, this guy again. Look at this guy again. Always sending me something, just out of the blue. So I'm not even doing it because I want to get something necessary. I'm just doing it because of how great of a guy he is, and he's criminally underrated on YouTube. I don't know how many subs he has. He's probably around the same I have, in the 400 range, 500 range, I guess maybe. But if you go back and look at his videos. I mean, he's one of the only guys and the best guys that do what he does, which is editing, mixing, making the movie. The movie is almost like a movie. It's almost like a documentary feel to his video. It's like if you ever watch Ken Burns' baseball, it has a very feel of that. If you ever watch Ken Burns' baseball, Alex has a very strong feeling of that stuff. The way he does his videos, it has that very old-timey feel of the olden days of yesteryear, back when it was baseball, American Pie, and muscle cars or something. It just had that very strong vibe in it. So, see, there you go. Nate just said, I didn't even know he did that. I had no idea. That's awesome. I mean, he sent him a World Series autograph of Lincecum. I mean, that's the kind of guy Alex is. I mean, he sent me a PSA DNA of the Perez Steel card of Pee Wee Reese. I mean, brilliantly in blue, signed right across the card, the postcard. I was completely blown away. I never even knew it was coming. He never said anything about it. Nothing. I just opened up a care package and boom, there it was. I mean, and it's not about the care package. It's not about how cool it is. It's just the fact that there's a guy like that out there. And so when he does when he wants to do some kind of like giveaway, and it's more about just because. It's not because he's trying to get anything from us or from his channel. And heck, all you got to do is just do a 5-minute video or less, if you even want to do that, where you're shouting out at a couple of guys that's done something for you, or just a card that reminds you of somebody. So when you see, like a David Hasselhoff card, you think of me because we have a similar body types. I have luscious locks that when I swim around in the ocean saving lives, you're like, that's definitely Jason. I mean, I understand that. So, yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, you got that right. 100%, Nate, without a doubt. Yeah, I know that Nate's Tim Lincecum super collector now, so he might have to go to Burbank Studios website or whatever and get himself some of the numbered cards. But I mean, I just really want to push people to go check it out because I think it's important that we support those channels like Alex's. Quite frankly, because I mean, he puts forth. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I want to say you can take 10 or 15, 20 channels that are like mine, who we don't do anything except flip our camera on, either on us or on whatever we're going to show off. And that's all we do. That's the extent of what we do. And there ain't nothing wrong with it because I watch channels like that all day long. My channel is that. And then those channels sometimes have double, triple what somebody like Alex has done, which is just amazing with the mixing of movies, music, editing, picture, cards. I mean, it's just sometimes it's befuddles me how somebody like him doesn't get more of a. And I know he's kind of a niche collector, I guess. But I mean, if you're a baseball fan, I mean, it's not like his videos go on for 20, 30 minutes. I mean, his is almost guaranteed 10 minutes or less. He very rarely goes on past that. So, I know that he paid me $7 to even do this. So, I mean, I'm just trying to put him over at this point. But yeah, man. So, anyways, but yeah, I think that that's something that the community needs right now, and just the world needs is some positivity. Well, the community doesn't really need it. Everybody, I've been playing. I've been on my best behavior now for a couple months, so that's good for all of us. And but just the world needs a little bit of that PA positive attitude right now. So I think it's a cool thing that he's doing, and I just like to support him and let people know who might not know who he is or his channel. Go check it out, Bowman 53 Alex. Trust me, when you see his video, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. I like to call him old timey cards because that's what he shows off predominantly is old timey cards. But he also likes to show off his balls in this video too. And when I say that in the autographed baseballs, but it still sounds more funny when you say when he pulls out the old surgical gloves. And he's like, "I got some balls to show you." I'm like, "I bet you do." Everybody, when you have to watch his videos, everybody has to turn their head and cough because it's getting to be serious. Hey, you can't go wrong with a $7 Scott Rowland. I guess you meant rookie card. Yeah, I've been trying to track down a Scott Rowland rookie card graded recently because I think he's going to the Hall of Fame. And once he gets in, we all know those cards start rocketing upward. So it's already get kind of expensive. I don't need a 10. I can get a 9. As long as it's like, a good looking 9, I don't care. But I always say stuff like that, like I say about the Don Mattingly, Don Russ rookie card. But we'll see. We'll see. Well, I'll eventually get there. I'll eventually rob enough banks, sell enough plasma when I can do those things. So, any topics we want to talk about today, guys? Anybody have anything we want to chit chat about? I'm just kind of hanging out, not doing anything special. I didn't have any major things to discuss. So, sorry, I'm trying to. I had all. Oh, shucky darn! It went down. There we go. All right. Sorry. So I guess that's okay. Yeah, I was trying to go. I was getting all these like notifications on my phone, so I started like I couldn't see anybody sending me a text. And sometimes people will text me and say, "Hey." Yeah, I agree. You're exactly right. Tracking something down is good, man. And you're right. Molina, he's definitely going in. I mean, I would be. I mean, there's no reason he wouldn't go in. He's definitely going in, without a doubt. Hall of Fame thoughts. I mean, what I know, I feel like Curt Schilling. I mean, he may be the only one who gets in this year. I don't know where everybody. I know how you feel about the Bonds and Clemens and those guys, and I mean this. I mean, you would think this might be the year for them to get in because there's really no competition for those guys. And even though I don't like that they're drug enhance their abilities to play the game, it doesn't really matter what I think. It matters is are they going to get in or not, based on what the writers say, I guess. So it doesn't really matter what people like me think or feel like. But I mean, I feel like this is the year because you can maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is their last year, right? This is their last year. This is their 10th year on the Hall of Fame ballot. So I mean, and after that, don't they go to? Yeah, I think Vizquel. Omar Vizquel. I think he'll eventually get in. Um, Bonds and Clemens, if they don't get in this year, don't they go to the Hall of Fame committee, or is there like somewhere in between those the regular Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame committee? Is there like a purgatory that they go to for a couple years? Okay, 2022. Okay, so they have a few years left. So this is their 9th year, I guess, if I understand correctly. So yeah, it will be interesting because if you don't, I mean, there really is no competition this year. I mean, I think Curt Schilling should get in, but Curt Schilling's in that weird situation, which we all know about, is that the guys that were PED users are being punished for their PED use during the game. People like Scott Rowland, people like Curt Schilling are being punished for their political views that are not popular among modern day writers, and so he's being punished for that. I think probably me and Nate fall down on those issues on different ways as far as like why you believe your guy should get in and vice versa. That's fine, but I do believe that Schilling will get in. Will be this year. I don't know. I also believe, even though I wouldn't like it, it's just the reality of it, that Bonds and probably not McGuire, Bonds and Clemens should be getting in, if not this year, soon. But I mean, I know we've said this before. And I think it's just I think regardless is that once you let Big Papi in, and he's going in. So I don't know when he gets in, when his time comes. But when you let Papi in, I mean, he tested for PEDs like 2 or 3 times. He got busted over the years. If you let him in, which they're going to let him in at some point, whenever it is, there's no reason why you would not let Bonds in and Clemens in, because I mean that would be, of course, that would make no sense. Even though I wouldn't like it, the reality of it is, if you're going to let somebody like him in, because everybody else is speculation at that point. Up until that point, I think Ortiz would be the first one who gets in and who is known to be a PED user. Then at that point, it doesn't matter if you were affiliated or associated or you got caught doing it. It's like, how can you let Big Papi in and not let these other guys in? Yeah, and I agree with you about that. That's also the reason why I have a hard time, because I mean, we all talk about it. I mean, we all talk about it ad nauseum. Is like, we all can see the difference between, Clemens and Bonds and those guys. They already had Hall of Fame careers before they started juicing, and they did it without the enhancement of their abilities. But those drugs caused them to go longer into their careers and be faster, stronger, heal more quickly, and gave their careers even more longevity, which they didn't even need to get in. And that's the problem I have is that if we were just taking that part out of it, they would be Hall of Famers, but we don't know when and where it started and how long it lasted. I mean, we can always speculate, but it's all speculation. But it all happened on the field, which I feel like it just taints it. It's kind of like why I don't like Pete Rose getting in, because Pete Rose, even though he's a great baseball player, but unfortunately he was a baseball manager and he was betting on the game, either against or for his Reds. Who cares? The fact is he was doing it. He knew he was doing it was wrong, and he admits that he was doing it. And he knew he was doing was wrong, and he still did it. So it's like it's hard for me. It's like it's either all in or all not in. So once the floodgates open, like I said, I really believe Big Papi will be the precipice of it all. Once he gets in, it's like A-Rod, Bonds, Clemens, Palmeiro maybe, which I doubt Palmeiro, but I mean, there'd be a case for him. I mean, he was an outstanding player for many, many years. I mean, maybe McGuire to a lesser degree. All have all have a shot to get in, but especially Bonds, especially Clemens, for sure. Those two guys will get in once Clemens gets in. I'm sorry, once Big Poppy gets in. I just don't see how they couldn't keep him out. You know, and I know everybody, we all hear the argument all the time of like, well, we don't know who all was doing it. There's probably lots and lots of people who were doing it. But the thing is, they might have been doing it, and it doesn't matter if they were doing it and it caused them to get Hall of Fame numbers, and that's how they were able to quote unquote do it, then they should obviously be counted out as well. But if you have somebody like, just pick somebody, Joey Cora, let's say he was juicing, but it didn't matter if he was juicing, even though it should matter, but it doesn't affect him in a Hall of Fame scenario. Then why would it doesn't matter if he was juicing? It didn't affect anything to do with his numbers weren't affected in a way that it kept other people out because of his numbers, because there were falsified numbers based on his enhancements that he gave to himself over the course of years or whatever. Bonds and Clemens, amongst many of those other guys, didn't need it. They did it because they wanted more accolades, more money, more numbers, more popularity, more fame. Fill in the blank. I mean, that's what it always is. It always goes down to vanity. That's what anybody does those things for. It's not a sports thing. That's a human thing. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be like, well, they're pieces of garbage because of it. Not at all. If anybody was given a magic bottle that said, hey, this is going to make you stronger, faster, heal more quickly, whatever, fill in the blank enhancement, I think most people who want an edge would take it. I think it says a lot about a person's character who says, no, I'm going to do it based on my ability. Good or bad, I'm doing it based on my God-given ability. And if that gets me into the Hall, great. If it doesn't, then I guess I'm out. But I always think about all the guys that, that are speculated, like Pudge and Mike Piazza and Bagwell and even Biggio. And I don't know if there's anybody else that's kind of like has that kind of like taint to them. It's like if they didn't do those things, let's say they did 100% fact they did it, let's say, I don't know if there's fact that they did do it, just heavy speculation, will keep other people from getting in, which kind of sucks. Like the people like, some of the people like Del Murphy, Don Mattingly, Fred McGriff. I mean, maybe Fred McGriff was juicing. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I feel like he's criminally underrated. Maybe like, people like the Todd Helton and things like that. Larry Walker took a long time to get in, probably should have got in a lot sooner. So, I feel like there's quite a few guys that would have got the bump a lot sooner, or even maybe they've been sniffing the Hall of Fame, but they're not going to get in based on their numbers, because you have other guys who have just, clobbering time numbers, like Bonds and Clemens, who just have outstanding numbers. But how much of that was padded with enhancements? I don't. And I know, people were talking on my last live stream and about, greenies and stuff like that. People were using. They're like, well, Mickey Mantle could have been associated with doing greenies in the '60s and blah blah blah. And I mean, and I don't know much about it. My understanding of greenies was it was like a thing that was like keeping them more awake or something, or like it was more like a stimulant, like maybe like caffeine or something. But maybe I'm wrong. But I don't think it was anything like it is with, steroids and PEDs and all that stuff. I think it was, totally different. But let's say if it literally enhanced your ability to play, you'd fall in the same category, wouldn't it? I mean, for me, it's very black and white. There's no gray in this. Nowadays, people want a lot of gray in everything, in their politics, in their religion, in their sports, in their heroes they follow. They need that gray because it makes them feel better about themselves. And I'm okay with saying, you know what, I just didn't cut it. Like, no, I'm just not that good. I'm not that good of a person. I'm not good of a player. It's for me, I'm still okay with black and white. And a lot of people just can't do that. They need that gray. That gray makes them human. And it's like, I understand we're all human, but you're paid to play the game the right way. And if you're playing and you're not playing it the right way, then why should you be held up, with accolades and awards if, other people didn't do that? If you're going to let everybody do it, they should be able to do it. So if you're saying that greenies were the same thing as PEDs, what did they do? Because obviously it didn't seem like They were doing the same things they are doing now. I mean, where people were like killing the ball and throwing so much faster and healing without getting injured, or if they got injured, they were healing faster. So what was their like their magic that they were taking them for? I guess, because that to me, you know, were they were doing it, then those people as well, which I'm sure would be a whole bunch of people, should be out. But then people would be like, well, what about people like who was it? Who was the guy who's famous for scuffing up the ball or putting snot on the ball or putting some kind of cream on the ball and throwing the ball? Was it Gaylord Perry? Is that who that was? Who was essentially he kept his career going by doctoring the ball. Like, that's cheating. And I understand people like, they've been cheating in baseball from the beginning. And again, that to me is like the weakest excuse. Well, they've been cheating in baseball forever, so why do we care now? It's like, well, those people should not be allowed to go in either. End of story. Like, you tell me where the cheating happened, and it goes up to me. I don't care who it was. It could be Barry, it could be Babe Ruth, and he's gone. That's the reality of it, because my thing is, again, like I always think about is, you're rewarding cheaters. I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Nate, you're an owner or a manager of a store, and if you found out your employee's cheating, are you congratulating them and patting them on the back and giving them an award? Or you find out your employee's cheating, are you firing him? I mean, to me, in a real world, we fire people who cheat. But in the sports world, we put them up on a pedestal and say, everybody's doing it, so let's just keep going. I never understood that perspective. And I feel like it's a smack in the face to what the reality of it is. I don't get it. Hey, what up, a Hall of Plankton? You better believe. What's up, Hitman? So, I mean, I know if it was me, and let's say I was going up against Mike, and Mike is working hard, doing all the right things at his job, and I'm on the exact same level with Mike, but I got the edge over Mike because I cheated. I cheated and got ahead of him. I knew how to do the job better because I was like, doing underhanded dealings, or I was a little unscrupulous in my approach to my job, and I got a reward over him. I got more money. I got a higher title. I got more accolades, and then they find out that I'm cheating. Shouldn't I lose my job for cheating and lying and being deceitful? And shouldn't Mike take my place? Well, yes. I was a manager for 3 years with the Xerox company years ago, and I can tell you what, if I found out people were cheating on their tests, for instance, to get them from point A to point B, they were fired on the spot. Like, there was no cheating happening. If you couldn't be prepared to take your exams to get you from point A to point B at Xerox, I mean, some again, it goes back to our society. Some teachers like look the other way, and we're like, oh, okay, I understand you were cheating. You wrote down the answers. You had some sheet pulled up. You asked your friend, you phoned a friend next to you to try to give you the answers on all these tests because you had to pass at a 90% level to go on to the next class, because I wanted to make sure we brought out the best agents onto the floor. And if I knew you were cheating, I caught you cheating, you were gone. Like, there's no questions asked. I mean, that to me is just black and white. You cheated, you're gone. I don't care the reasons why. I don't care because you have kids at home and you stayed up all night and you didn't study. I don't care what the reason is, you're gone. It's not like this snuck up on you. It's not like this. I pulled up a pop quiz with 30 questions on it that you didn't know about. Like, no, you knew this was coming. So you work hard and you get a reward, or if you don't, then you just take your chance of see how well you do on your own free will. And if you pass, great, keep going. If not, then thank you, but we're going to move another direction. I mean, I don't understand that. Like, I don't get that everybody thinks that now that you can cheat and it's okay. I don't get that. I agree with you. About that, Nate. I 100% agree. Selig shouldn't be in. Selig should be thrown under the bus for what he did. I completely agree. All they saw was money, because it brought people back to the stadiums. The whole Maguire Sosa thing has been spoke about ad nauseum. There's nothing I can add to this conversation. Not that I'm adding anything to it right now. I'm quite aware I'm not. But I mean, that's the thing is that, and I'm not saying you are, Nate, by the way, but we as fans can pass the buck off on the previous generations or the commissioner or my trainer or some random guy from Balco or whatever you want to say and blame it on XYZ thing. At the end of the day, you got to take personal responsibility for your actions. It's not like Bud Selig went up to him and stuck a needle in their butt and sprayed, PEDs in them, or they weren't like, taking pills or putting on creams and clears. It was like they knew what they were doing. And does anybody take medicines or shots or any kind of pharmaceutical stuff without knowing what you're going to put in your body? I would say about 100% of us would say, what am I doing? What is this? What are you putting in my body? What am I being injected with? What am I ingesting? So you can't just say, again, this is not towards you, Nate. This is us as fans. We can't just say, well, they didn't know, or everybody else was doing it, or they turned a blind eye. Like, where does personal responsibility come into that? And again, I go back to what I said earlier: is if that's your kid, I think, Nate, you're a dad. I think a lot of us are dads in here. I'm a dad. If your son goes and says, well, he was doing it, so I started doing it, started drinking, or started doing drugs, or drove while he was drunk. Well, everybody else was doing it. Are you going to let that be? Is that an excuse going to fly for you as a father? I would think anybody who's a half a dad would say absolutely not. That's not an acceptable option. You're going to say, I don't care what your friends were doing. I worry about you and your well-being, and that's a bad decision. What were you thinking? And there is a punishment usually after that. Like, I lied to my dad when I was in high school about what I was doing before. I had told my dad I was at one place and I was at another, and the cops came, and luckily they drove me home. They didn't arrest me. They let me go home. But I told my dad one thing, and I was actually doing another thing. And so when the cops busted the place, because everybody was out drinking, which I was not drinking, but I was around people who were, they busted the party and arrested people. But luckily, because I wasn't involved in that, they let me go home, and they followed me home. And then they knocked on my mom and dad's door and was like, hey, your son was such and such place. And my dad was like, hold on, wait, where are you? And I know this isn't big deal to most people's lives. I'm just throwing like this scenario out. But I had to be held accountable because I was doing one thing, but I was actually doing another. I was telling one story, but I'll do another. And I had to be held accountable for my shortcomings in my lives. And I think the way we treat our ball players now, no matter what the sport or anything, is we don't hold people accountable anymore. And it's like, well, everybody else does it, so it's okay. And I'm like, but if you're any kind of a parent, I would assume, and I don't mean this to be a slap in the face to anybody who's a parent, you're not going to let your kid get away with the excuse of everybody else is doing it. Or I thought it was okay because the principal said it was fine, or this other parent said it was okay for me to do it, so I thought I'd do it. I mean, I was offered when I was a sophomore or junior high school. I was friends with a couple other guys. We go to one of my guy friends' houses, and his mother's like, "Hey guys, y'all want to have some fun?" And I was like, "What is that even supposed to mean?" So she goes up on top of the refrigerator with the banana bowl, pulls down the banana bowl full of bananas and a big old bag of weed. And she wanted to smoke weed with all of us teenage boys. And I was like, I'm not smoking weed with you, lady. Like, who are you? And she was like trying to get us all smoke weed. And I'm like, absolutely not. And I'm like, but I mean, if I was thinking of that perspective of like, well, Bud Selig said it was okay, or he turned a blind eye, I'll be like, well, my parents told me no, but some other lady told me it's okay to smoke weed with her and in her house. I mean, like, what am I going to tell my mom and dad? Well, this other lady told me it's okay. This other mom said it's fine. Like, that doesn't work. My dad would have worn me out. I would be dead right now. I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you. so I mean, I'm just saying, like, here it is. I mean, and I know that it's like a rabbit hole, and I'm not changing anybody's mind and vice versa. But I mean, these are just kind of like my thoughts about it, pro or con or whatever. But I think that's the thing, Oh, I agree, dude. I understand kids lie. Don't get me wrong. I totally understand. But I'm just saying, like, if you as a parent caught them in a lie that could hurt them, or know that they are taking advantage of other people and they shouldn't be rewarded for it, I would think most of us would say that's not acceptable. You shouldn't be rewarded for poor choices. And I understand people lie. I mean, we all lie. I mean, I understand no one's perfect. I'm not trying to make it sound like ball players are perfect, but I'm not saying, because we all know that no one's perfect, they shouldn't get an excuse. Like, you don't give your kids an excuse for them doing dumb things, especially if they were told not to do it in the first place and they still did it. Like, if they didn't know any better, then you might give them a break. But I mean, come on now. I mean, at some point, where does responsibility, take shape? These ball players know what they were doing was wrong. If not, they would have been doing it open in front of everybody. They would have been out in the sunlight, being, rubbing themselves down with creams and clears and taking pills and shooting themselves in the butt and stuff. If it was not anything to hide and be ashameful of. So it's always being done in the alleyways, in the dark, in the night, trying to keep it out of the sunlight. And it's the same thing as what people do. They try to hide things they know they shouldn't have done away from others because they don't want to be held accountable. And if they get caught, they know there is some kind of repercussions for their poor choices, which is you shouldn't get into the Hall of Fame if you're a cheater. You shouldn't get an A on a test if you cheated. You shouldn't get a promotion at your work if you lied, stole, and cheated your way to that promotion over other people, or even if it didn't involve going over somebody else. You shouldn't get it. You shouldn't get rewarded at all. I just don't get it. I don't get how we say this part is unacceptable, but this part is. Like, I never understood the psychology, the mental gymnastics one must do to get there. And again, I know this isn't changing anybody's mind. I'm not trying to upset anybody, because I know that Nate definitely feels different than me. And I respect Nate. Obviously, I watch Nate's channel when it comes to a lot of Barry Bonds stuff. I'm on the Super Collector site, and he posts stuff about his Bonds things, and I'm impressed. I mean, and again, I love Barry Bonds as a player, and it sucks that he did what he did. I mean, it sucks, but the same thing with all those guys. I mean, I did the same thing with Jose Altuve last year when he got caught cheating. And then I like Jeremy IPTTM. I like him, but his first response was, well, everybody says that Jose Altuve didn't cheat as much as everybody else. And I'm like, I just have to roll my eyes or SMH, shake my head when I hear that, because I'm like, seriously? Well, he didn't cheat as much as everybody else. And I'm like, okay, so one guy cheated 100 times and he cheated 98. So he cheated 2 times less. So now do we put him up on a pedestal? Oh, you're the best thing ever. Well, all your sins have been forgiven. No, you're still a cheater. You still participated in a cheating that kept you from playing the game the right way by having an advantage. And I mean, end of story. Like, you can spin that however you want. I don't care if Bregman cheated 100 times and he cheated only 98 or whatever, and what Carlos Correa cheated 86 times. You cheated. You used a enhanced ability to do what you're doing, not physically, but using trash cans and video equipment and whatever else to take an advantage over another team. And I know people say, oh, it's been going on since the 1950s, the shot heard around the world, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my gosh, like, everybody wants to make an excuse for what's happening right now to make it okay. Like, well, then, I mean, we could play that game until the beginning of time. And I mean, when's enough's enough? My question. When is there enough? And if you talk to a lot of baseball fans or fans in general, there's never enough. Everything's permissible. And I'm just like, and I just don't operate like that. I mean, and I'm not trying to make it out on some kind of I don't know what the word I'm looking for, or the term, what I'm trying to say here. So, and I'm by far perfect. I make all kinds of mistakes. We all know that. Very painfully obvious that we know that from my channel. But I guess, I have that mentality of, I don't want things that I love and really am passionate about and care about being tainted with, things that don't make the game. I think I think all of our minds, we wanted to be this perfect game with the perfect players. I understand that players aren't perfect, but you would like for it to be as much perfect as possible. And when you hear about these things, no matter if it's enhancements of players with drugs or with, whatever, or cheating on the field with video equipment and banging on cans, or you're scuffing the ball and putting Vaseline and whatever else, or you're cheating and betting on baseball, you're betting against your team, for your team, whatever, fill in the blank, then it just takes away from what the game should be about. I know it's probably very idealistic. It's like all like Mr. Ken Burns baseball, like this, like lofty, heavenly approach that's never going to be made. I get all that, and I understand that, and I understand that's mostly a Jason thing. But that's just kind of like how I approach it. That's why it's always difficult. I mean, that's why I hated watching baseball. I didn't really watch it. I didn't watch any baseball this year because I couldn't get over that the game is being overtaken by social justice messages. So I'm like, just play the game, man. Like, just play the game. Do that stuff on your own time. Like, I can't go to my job and like socially protest or whatever I want to. Like, I got to go and do my work. Like, no one's gonna be okay with me walking into people's faces with shirts and hats and masks and whatever else. Like, just go do your job. Like, do that stuff on your own time. So I mean, and I mean, it takes away from the game because I'm like, this is like not what I signed up for. So anyway, it is what it is. It's always just gonna keep rotating. The earth's gonna keep rotating. There's always gonna be opinions about all these things. No, I don't believe no one's really right or wrong. You can find parts where we can agree on. There'll be areas where you can't agree on. You just don't feel the same way. There's gonna be certain people who just very strongly feel about this than others. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how things shake out as the years go on. But with all that being said, I truly believe, much to my chagrin, Bonds and Clemens will for sure get in. A-Rod will probably get in for sure. I don't know if that's going to be this year or if it's going to be a couple years from now, but I believe they'll eventually get in. A lot of those old-time players are starting to pass away, as we've seen. So if the Hall of Fame pops in with the new guys, the new Hall of Famers who make up, I guess, the what is it, the Hall of Fame ballot or whatever. What do you call that? I can't think of the terminology. Like the one where the Hall of Famers pick. You might get enough youngish Hall of Famers in there that they don't feel the same way. You might get lucky and you'll see more of them get in. But I think I feel like the writers are like right at the point where they're going to start letting them in anyways. Because wasn't last year both Bonds and Clemens were like at 68, 70%, 71%? I mean, I know they've been hovering around 75% for a year or two, I believe. I could be wrong, but every time I look at it in the past, if I'm not mistaken, they're like already hovering around all that anyways. So they've been right there. It's like what I was saying at the beginning, and when we started talking about this, I believe, I mean, this might be a good year that you see them get in because, I mean, there's no real competition. I mean, Curt Schilling, but I had heard somebody say that he made some more provocative statements over the last couple of months. I'm sure there's something to do about politics, as we all know, that might have ruffled some people's feathers, but I'm like, who knows? About the 60%, okay. I mean, I knew they were getting close. I mean, I knew they were like right there. So I would hope that, if this is the year, then it would be fine. Because it just makes you wonder. Because, I got to be honest, and I know this is what's going to happen, and this is going to just irk me. And it's just like about the purity of the game or whatever you want to call it. But what's going to irk me is that Ichiro will be able to get in, and then he's going to have to share the spotlight with a bunch of PED users. It's going to irk me because Ichiro was not a PED user whatsoever, but he's going to have to share the spotlight because he was playing during the time these guys were playing and was doing what no one else could do without any enhancements. And he's going to end up having to share the stage with a bunch of PED users. And that's what I'm will be horrifying to think about is somebody like who played the game, old school throwback version of baseball, who did it all based on ability, nothing to do based on chemicals. He has to get up on the stage and he'll end up having to share it with like a Big Papi or a Bonds or a Clemens or a A-Rod or whatever. And I'm like, this is like that's gonna make my eyes start twitching when I'm like he has to go up there and do that. That's irk me because he should have to share the spotlight with those guys because he did all that stuff during that exact same time they were playing, and he did it better than anybody else that could ever do what he could do. Like it was unbelievable. And if he would have got here a decade earlier, it'd be outstanding. So really, I thought I saw them like heading towards that 70% for a while. But I mean, quite honestly, I know like there's a lot smarter people than myself who talk about this on a regular basis and a lot more knowledgeable. And I always feel like I always see when they say, you know, Bonds and Clemens are always like in that high 60s, low 70s. But I guess like the more votes that the people put in, maybe push them down further, and so they start losing a little bit. But like I always feel like at some point during the process, they're pretty high up on getting like you think they're going to maybe get in, and then maybe after more writers put in their ballot, it pushes them down maybe. So I don't know. That might be what's going on. But I know I've seen them at times at like 71%. I'm like, oh, this is the year. They're getting in. You know, and like I said, honestly, if they get in, I got a crap ton of Clemens and Bonds rookie cards. So I'd be getting those things slabbed and sending them off to get selling them if that happens. So I mean, even though I wouldn't like it as a fan of the game, as a person who wants to make some money, I'll be your Huckleberry. So it is what it is. So you know, I think a lot of that has to do. I think not you, Nate, because I know you are a huge, you know, Bonds fan. Yeah, I figured they were getting more ballot or more percentage going up for sure. And like I said, who knows? But I mean, I would think that if Bonds gets in, maybe I'm wrong. If Bond gets in, wouldn't that make it way more financially difficult for you to get a lot of his other cards? Because I would assume his cards are already kind of expensive because, I mean, Bonds is who Bonds is. Would it mess up your collecting because would it make him in some areas more unattainable, certain cards because they'd be out of the price range? Or you don't think it would make that much of a difference? And I'm sure you've been asked this 100 times, so I'm sorry to ask you a question that you probably answered a couple dozen times. But would it be? I would assume it would cause all his cards in general to see an uptick, and then maybe some of his big boy cards really go through the roof. It'd be more difficult for you to maybe afford some of those cards. Not saying I don't know your financial situation. Maybe you're like Scrooge McDuck, and every night you jump in off your diving board into big piles of money. That's possible. I know I don't, but maybe you do. So, but I would assume you would see a drastic change in his pricing as most ball players' pricing starts going up once they get into the Hall of Fame. Yeah, see, that's what I was thinking too. I agree. I mean, his prices, I think, already, from what I've seen, sometimes can get kind of pricey on certain cards just because of who Bonds is. But you're right. He probably will have Ken Griffey Jr. pricing once he hits that because, you know, Ken Griffey Jr. would be the most comparable person, I think, to Bonds as far as collecting goes. That's a good observation, actually. I would say that's very fair because they pretty much played the exact same years for the most part, the exact same time. Very similar as far as like accolades. You know, I think Bonds had way more uh, way more. What's the word? He had obviously he had a World Series win, but I believe he had way more like MVPs or hitting titles as well. So I don't know. I mean, I know he was. We all know he was like capital BOSS. So wow, that is crazy. You're probably right. They're probably like a lot of the cards are already primed for when he hits the Hall of Fame, then they're going to skyrocket. Sounds like it. Sounds like that. You know, those cards are already, like you said, are already the big boy cards are already $1,000. You know, just think about how much they're going to go up once he hits the Hall. All those bots and sneakerheads and everybody else are going to be taking them and buying them up and then reselling them. So they'll be Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto. Uh, for sure. 7 MVPs, and he would have had 9. Yeah, I knew he had like a lot of MVPs. I couldn't remember, but it's 7 now out of 9. So, what 2 years should he had 9 MVPs that he didn't? Who did he lose to? So I'm interested to know who he lost to, since you said if, like you said, if the media liked him better. because he's a very prickly personality. Do you remember who beat him those 2 years? I'm assuming they were two not consecutive years. They were two different years. Maybe I'm wrong. I honestly don't know. Terry Pendleton and Jeff Kent. Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about either one of those players as far as their like prowess the year they beat Bonds, but just thinking about those guys in the same sentence with or the same thoughts with Bonds. I mean, and again, it goes back to me going like, I'm not the biggest Bonds fan in the world. I'm a big fan of Bonds on the field, pre PED ability or whatever. I was a huge fan, even though I didn't know much about him, his personality, because I didn't know much about him when I was a kid growing up. That he wasn't liked, and his attitude was, like I said, very prickly towards everybody. But I mean, Terry Pendleton and Jeff Kent couldn't even lace up his cleats. So that is kind of a slap in the face, that's for sure. His OPC card is at $10,000. That is some heavy lifting there. That's a whole lot of plasma one has to sell to get to that card price. Woo! And oh man, that's a big boy card. You're gonna have to stumble onto that card like in a box somewhere and then try to send it off to get graded, because that is most definitely out of most people's price range, without a doubt. It almost makes me laugh. I mean, I knew Jeff Kent had a pretty successful career, but hey, what's up? Hey, thanks for showing up. No, we're talking about the best cooking tips for making cakes for Thanksgiving. I know my cakes are delicious. You're right. Boom. Yeah, baking 2020. What's up?
Got Chef Payne 2020.
Yeah, Chef Boyar Payne.
Yeah, Chef Boyardee.
Thank you. My son just came and graced me with his presence for a minute. Then he went back to playing. Is that Ark?
Yeah.
He's back to playing his Ark game. So we just got one little one little nugget of Luca. So, oh man. So yeah, I have a 9.0 PG and paid $50. That's just crazy, dude. Hey, what's up, Bob? What up, Bobby Bob? That's crazy, Nate. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, $50 you paid for that card, and I don't know when you paid for it, but it could have been last year, could have been 5 years from now, or 5 years before. But that is nuts, man. That's knucking futz, dude. $1,200, man. That is awesome. Like, I love hearing those kind of stories, though. I mean, because like I said, I still buy Bond's cards, like his rookie cards. When I come across them on the cheap, I pick him up because, like I said, even though I be boo-hooing him on this live stream, I know the reality. He's going to get in eventually, and his cards are going to be worth more money than they already are. So if I can get them at a cheap price all day long, I'm picking them up without a doubt. Oh, got me you making that Bob Lewis famous macaroni and cheese out of the Kraft box for dinner for the entire family? Man, you're going all out, dude. Or you going to Fiore's for pizza, man. If you're going to Fiore's, I'm going to head over there now, get there about midnight, and we'll make sure you leave some of that pizza left in the box for me. Best pizza I've ever had in my entire life. Best cheese pizza, I should say. I have to tell this story. When Bob told me, he goes, there's a local Pittsburgh pizza place called Fiore's. I want to take you to it. And I'm like, oh, man, I love pizza. And I was like, all right. And then I was like, well, what kind of toppings? I'm like a toppings guy. Like, I want to try unique toppings, different toppings that are famous for that pizza or that area or part of the city or state or whatever. And he was like, it's a cheese pizza. And I'm like, what? Because I'm not a cheese pizza fan. Like, I'm like anything but just cheese. He's like, no, man, this cheese pizza, sauce and pizza. Or, I'm sorry, sauce and cheese. And I'm like, all right, man. I mean, you're local. You're Pittsburgh. You're Pittsburgh knees. Pittsburghian, Pittstuckin. So, okay. So, we go and we eat there at the restaurant the first time, and I guess it was 2019, the first time I went. Man, yeah, there's a pizza place. It's called Pizza King. I'm pretty sure that's what you're talking about. Man, Pizza King is so good it makes you want to smack your mama. Man, it is so good. I gotta take Bob there sometime and see what he thinks. But this pizza, this Fiore's pizza, man, we sit down and eat it. I mean, this place is like a little hole in the wall. I mean, social distancing is not a thing at Fiore's. Like there is no social distancing. You go there, there's about maybe like 8 tables, but most people take it and just go. So we sit there at the restaurant, and he opens up this box, and it's just like this cheese piece. I mean, I don't know if it's extra cheese or they just bring it out the cheese. They throw the cheese all over the pizza, but it is like an extra cheese pizza basically. And so I'm always like, well, at least there's extra cheese. I mean, I didn't get this skinny by eating not extra cheese. So I grab up a slice and it's like hanging, like you're like grab that slice and it's like this drooping off the pizza, the bread, the crust. So I pick it up and I'm like, and I finagle it in, try to get a good nice bite from this piping hot pizza. And man, I gotta say, Bob was exactly correct. Those Pittsburghese, know their pizza, man. It was outstanding. I was like, wow, what is going on here with this pizza? It was fantabulous. So if you're ever in Pittsburgh, I would highly recommend going to check out Fiore's, or if you're hanging out with Bob, Mr. Bob Lewis. I don't know what's going on here, like all of a sudden. Okay, there we go. I don't know, my phone is messed up. Yeah, now you should want some. Hey, what's up, Joey? Check it out, man. It is delicioso. Mwah. So, bada boom, bada bing, it's bellissimo. So, it is good stuff. But yeah, man, Pizza King, to what you were saying, Nate, I believe, John, you're talking about JMVP. He lives up in northern Indiana, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a piece of plan. But if you go to the national, maybe we could try to get a thing where I know a lot of you guys were staying at John's house, and he lives in Indiana. I guess he's about an hour from Chicago. Cause I'm about 3.5, because I'm like more around the central part of the state, and he's 2 hours north of me, I believe, up towards the Chicago part. Yeah, JMVP. I've met him once before, actually at his kid's baseball game. It was pretty cool experience. Great guy. I wish he did more stuff in the family here, the YouTube family, not my family, though he's welcome to. But I think it's Pizza King, and I mean, it's funny because if you're not from Indiana, I feel like people either really love it or they hate it because it's very different. It's squares, not triangle slices. They cut it small. The crust kind of bubbles up, so it's like this kind of like harder, crunchier crust, and it's thin pizza, it's thin sliced pizza, and they cut it into squares, and they usually load up the toppings, and sometimes that's like people don't like it super heavy, like I said. For instance, I took JT, Triple Crown 24. He was starting to do card shows about a year ago. He started coming to my house to crash the night before, so he didn't have to spend so much time and wake up even earlier to get to the card shows. So he'd come over like on a Friday night, and then we would go, and I would say, hey, man, let me take you to this pizza place. Either you really love it or you hate it. And the first time I go actually was with Donnie MVP, or Donnie, what's his name? Donnie MVP. I forgot his name. Murph MVP or something like that. But Donnie, we go, and then JT ordered a salad. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Did you seriously order a salad in a pizza place? That's illegal in Indiana. I mean, they're going to kick you out, and you're going to sit outside on the stoop while me and Donnie smash this Pizza King pizza. So I couldn't believe that. So to go back, he came back the next month, which is me and him, and we go to pizza place. I'm like, are you even going to order a pizza, dude? Or are you going to order another salad? Because if you order a salad, that's embarrassing. I can't be in public with somebody who orders a salad at a pizza place. I mean, we can't be doing that. I was like, what are you on your period? So I was like, you're not doing that. So he was like, no, man, I'll get a pizza with you, dude. I'm like, what do you want? We talk about it. So we sit down there, and I mean, honestly, after he gave me the salad thing a month prior, I'm like, I don't think he's gonna like this pizza. He's gonna be like, man, what is this? Like, so I was like, I built it up so much. I'm like, there's no way it can live up to the hype that I gave it because I'm totally a pizza fanatic when it comes to pizza. I want to try anything and everything. When I lived in Japan, I was trying all kinds of stuff. So he sits down and we order the pizza and he eats it and he was like, oh my gosh, dude, this is so good. What was I thinking not getting it the first time? I'm like, I'm telling you. And he was like, man, and when we smashed that pizza, I mean, it was like legit. I mean, we got ourselves like a nice big old pizza and we murdered that thing. Both we split it down to half. He got half and I got half, man. He wore that pizza out. I made me feel so good because I was like, dude, after all the hype I gave it, if he was like, man, this pizza sucks, I'd be like, maybe, do you want me to get you a salad? But yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. So maybe if you're able to go to the national happens next year, everything is back to normal. We definitely try to, if we could try to hit it up, we could try to hit up a pizza place, that Pizza King. Like I said, it's a hit or miss. It's kind of like around this area in Cincinnati. There's a place called Skyline Chili, and I love Skyline Chili, but a lot of people don't like it because they put cinnamon in their chili. And a lot of people are like, man, this tastes like garbage. I personally like it, but a lot of people don't like it. But it's like a Greek thing. Skyline Chili was started by a bunch of Greek immigrants. They put cinnamon in their chili. I don't know why. It works. For me, it works. But a lot of people don't like it. You know, another thing like White Castle. A lot of people hate White Castle because they're like, it's onions on this small little piece of bread and bun. They don't like it. So, you know, they kind of crap on it. So it's like a love or a hate. I kind of feel like Pizza King's in that same boat. It's like if you grew up with Pizza King, it's like nostalgic. So you love it. You don't care what the naysayers say. But if you don't live here, you're not from here, and you eat it, and you have your mind like New York style pizza or a Chicago style pizza or whatever, or just your traditional triangle pizza, and you're holding up these little bitty squares, you're like, I don't know. Sometimes the aesthetic, I guess, of it throws you for a loop, and it's automatically like you don't like it. You're like, I don't like this. So, oh, you guys went to Skyline High School? That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you like it, Mike. Yeah, Hitman 23's here. Hitman 23, yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I think Pizza King is fantastic. It's a personal favorite. I love Skyline for sure. That is awesome that Ricky Henderson went to Skyline High School with Oakland, CA, baby. Now, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that, I don't know, wasn't MC Hammer also from Oakland, California? And I thought they knew each other. I thought they both went to the same high school. They grew up in the same area. So I remember seeing some kind of documentary or special where I thought they said Ricky Henderson and MC Hammer like were friends, like knew each other. And I don't know if that's true or not, and I might be making that up, but I thought I saw something where he said that because I knew that he was from Oakland as well. I'm making up a story, and I apologize in advance. Tom Hanks and Frank Robinson both came from Oakland as well. Wow. Yeah, he was a bat boy for the A's. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I do remember that. That is cool, man. It's Tom Hanks and Frank Robinson both went to Skyline High School in beautiful Oakland, California. You can't go wrong with that, man. That's a very prestigious high school. That was kind of like there's a high school in Cincinnati called Moeller High School that had Barry Larkin and Ken Griffey Jr. both went to school there, and that's like a big deal in Cincinnati because you have two Hall of Famers and one Super Hall of Famer in Griffey. So they grew up there, they're from there, so that was a big deal. I think I don't think Pete Rose went to school there, but Pete Rose is also from Cincinnati or the area. So that was a big deal too. But I know that both of them went to the same high school, Moeller, and they have a card show there a couple times a year. Well, they did before the global disaster known as the coronavirus hit, or Sea the Shining Sea. Luca, pizza eater.
What?
Pizza eater. Uh huh.
Yeah.
そうですか何食べたいそうですか
Yeah.
Way. Bigね Maybe we're going to eat pizza too tonight. Luca was like, yeah, let's do it. So, yeah. That's awesome, man. Now, I know Oakland has to be a big city, but is there like do they all, like, most of the kids go to one school? They're like sports people or like into the arts, so they all go to one. They congregate to one school. I can't imagine everybody in Oakland goes to one school. So does Skyline is the famous for athletes and their like arts department, or it just so happens that Skyline High School is in an area where a lot of people come out of there that are very well known. Oh, that's cool. High school in San Mateo. Sarah High School or Sierra. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. So that's pretty awesome, dude. I didn't even know Tom Brady was from California originally. That is pretty awesome. Who else did you say? Bonds? I did know Bonds. I thought was from California because his dad was playing for the San Francisco Giants, right, back then. I could be wrong, but I think that sounds right. You probably know better than me, that's for sure. That's for shizzle my nizzle. So, how many of us are gonna go eat pizza now, huh? After I hang up on this live stream, who's gonna go here like and break? Let's all go get pizza, everybody. Like, but Dad, you're middle making dinner. Like, no, we're getting pizza or whatever. Like, oh, I thought we were gonna have a soup and salad tonight. It's like what? There you guys go. Look at that. Look at that bad boy. Bad boy. Let's see here. Most of the big athletes end up at LaSalle in the Bay Area, but for some reason, Skyline has a lot of big things. Huh. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I don't know how that works out. And it's kind of weird how those kind of things work out. It is very strange to say the least. So I don't know. Like in Indiana, it's nowhere near that centralized, so it's spread out everywhere. Not that we have any big name stars coming from any specific high school that ends up going into basketball, football, baseball, whatever. But it's just more. I feel like it's more spread out in Indiana. Maybe I'm just, but it's also It's a smaller population, more spread out with California. I would say majority of Californians live in the big cities where you're going to have a lot more people. So there's a lot more opportunity for famous actors and media personalities and sports stars to come from because they're already in a major metropolitan, all congregated together. Where in Indiana, everybody's spread out. So there's a little bit more wealth to spread around. But in Indiana, it's cold for 4 or 5 months solid. There's snow and ice and terrible weather. So they're not going to be usually as good as the California athletes who have sunshine 12 months out of the year and don't have to worry about ice and snow and cold and everything else. It's kind of like people in Florida. They play baseball all year round because there's never any like off season. So they're going to continue their development and get better and better, while people like in Indiana and other parts of the Midwest and the North, of course, have to shut down for basically 4 to 6 months in some cases, but mostly, 4 to 5 months. But really, like November, December, January, February, March. I mean, it could be like easily 5 months, and you're like closed down and not do much because of the weather in this area. Like Pittsburgh, obviously the same. But so anywhere in the Midwest, out in the plain states, obviously up north, a lot of that stuff gets shut down. So who knows, man? Who knows? You missed it. You missed it, Gary. There was one in here. There was one single transgender in here, and I couldn't make it. I couldn't make everything out, but I think they said something about poopy pants, and they had some daddy issues. I mean, there was a lot going on in that message. So, but since that wasn't the topic we're discussing tonight, I decided to go ahead and remove them from the chat. I mean, that might be next week's topics that we're going to hit up on, but not this week. But there was a lot happening in that one. Yeah. I was. Whoa. Sorry. There we go. My setup is pretty ghetto, so I do apologize in advance to my lovely fans out there in YouTube land, the old YouTubers. So, I mean, we're just discussing life, trying to figure out the world, trying to make the world a little bit better place. Some really deep stuff's happening on here today. For life. Yeah, for life. So, anyways, guys, I've been on for a little over an hour and a half, so I'm gonna have to hop off. I appreciate everybody hanging on. Once my son started hearing about food, it was game over. I'm gonna do something about dinner. Maybe some pizza. Maybe I'll pop on later with some pizza, or I'll take some pictures and post on Facebook. So yeah, it comes with being YouTube famous. You nailed it, man. I mean, if that didn't put me over the top for a YouTube Hall of Fame ballot inductee this year, I don't know what does. I mean, I feel like that put me to the next level, quite frankly. So, anyways, guys, I appreciate you all hanging out with me. And until next time, peace out.